Hello, it's Reese here from the British basketball scene, and you might be wondering, Reese, sweet haircut, but also sweet t-shirt as well, because it's from alwaysballing.com. This t-shirt is a collaboration with alwaysballing.com and also the Amos Bursary. The Amos Bursary ensures that those with Afro-Caribbean descent excel past university, as it has been recently found in a study that black males earn 7,000 less than their white counterparts. £4 from each t-shirt sold will be going to the Amos Bursary. So go down and check the link in the description down below to buy this t-shirt and also check out what the Amos Bursary is about. Let's support the campaign that is bigger than basketball. Hello and welcome back to the British basketball scene. I'm your host Reese, as always, and today I am joined by quite literally a Manchester giant. It's Allie Fullah. Allie, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Reese. Thanks
Good.
for having me.
It's a pleasure to be speaking with you here, and thank you for being here on the British basketball scene. So, how's your lockdown been so far?
Um, I think it's been a challenge, just sort of adapting to the new normal. So, I think it's been quite challenging in a lot of ways, and just making the most of it.
Have you been quite productive inside of it, or have you got to do any new hobbies?
Yeah, not any new hobbies, but I think I've tried to be productive. I've tried, but I've had moments of not being productive too. So
I think that's everyone, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
there's been days that you just like, can I be bothered to get out of bed? Not really, but you've got to. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, with lockdown, I think a lot of people have been watching, stuff on Netflix and stuff. A lot of things. Have you managed to catch any of the Last Dance on Netflix with Michael Jordan? And
Yeah, it's funny you should ask about Last Dance because I've actually been binging on that series. I think I watched it when it first came out, I think in May, and then I've gone back and I've started watching it again, and it's just it's really interesting and I love it.
yeah, I mean, the more
And
and more that you watch it, the more that you pick up. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think the most interesting thing was Michael Jordan and how he had a different mentality to everyone else,
yeah,
and he was the best player in the world, and but the thing that separated him was his approach to the game. His mentality was on a different level.
absolutely. And you see that like when he comes in, like the Bulls, like they draft Michael Jordan and they're not quite ready to go into the playoffs. And they're like, oh well, if we're not going into the playoffs, we'll tank. And it's great to see MJ just go, no, we're not tanking. We're going for the playoffs, and it's great to see that mentality that not necessarily a lot of players will have now.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's different, cut from a different cloth.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
have you caught much of the return of the NBA so far as well?
Yes and no. I've been aware of it, you know, but I'm not completely invested in the NBA at the moment
Hmm.
because, I'm just not sure what the format is and how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And so, yes and no, to be honest. And, I've sort of lost interest a bit, to be honest, in the NBA because of what's happened with COVID. And
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't really know what's going on.
I mean, to be fair, it is very confusing. Like the uncertainty that COVID has brought is really like it is very confusing for a lot of people. Like, this has never happened before. There's never been a pandemic that's gone on this long, with the current generation of people. So it is very confusing. I mean, is there have you been following any other, like, have you been like casually, like, if there's highlights you watch them or anything like that?
Yeah, I watch highlights.
Hmm.
I've been watching last year's playoffs
Yeah.
because I didn't get a chance to watch it. So I've been going back and watching the finals between Toronto Raptors and I think it was what was the other
The
team?
Golden State.
Yeah, Golden State. Yeah, that was interesting. And I've also been watching a lot of Milwaukee Bucks, but
Ah,
from last season. And Giannis is an absolute monster. Like it's just amazing how he's been able to sort of develop. And now he's complete.
yeah.
He can do everything. And the scary thing is he's 7 foot tall. So like, how are you going to stop someone like that
Yeah.
who's 7 foot tall and can do everything?
Yeah.
So it's an absolute nightmare, and I feel sorry for anyone who has to guard him.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to guard him being 6 foot, but so speaking of like developing and transformation, not many people well, a lot of people will probably know following your Instagram and stuff like that. You've gone under your own development this summer. With lockdown, a lot of people put on the weight. However, you've gone under a great body transformation. You look absolutely shredded.
Thank you.
Talk about like your body transformation and what led you to go on this journey.
Oh, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you. It's good to have some appreciation. No, basically, I I just wanted to hit the ground running, and I think with lockdown, it could have gone one of two ways. I could have I could have gone one extreme and just put on some weight, like you said.
Yeah.
But I decided to go the other extreme and just sort of get in good shape, really good shape. And so, what was your question again?
Just like how where did you come to like your body transformation? Like, how did you go about doing it? Dieting and your workout routines and sort of like your mentality as well. Like the thought process in going towards having this big body transformation of yours.
Yeah, with the mentality, it was just sort of like I felt like I needed to lose some weight for basketball because I know what my how I feel when I play and I'm a good weight. So I set myself a goal of losing a certain amount of weight, and I decided to um, do a really strict diet, and
Mm.
it's called the Ketogenic Diet,
Yeah.
and it's basically I reduced how much sugar I was consuming, and then started working out. Like doing push-ups and things, because obviously the gyms were all closed, so I couldn't
Yeah.
go to the gym. So I had like a circuit that I did at home, and and that was really really useful for me. But the first thing I did was I had to change my mindset, and it was sort of like a self discipline, where I said, I'm not having any more biscuits. I'm not, I'm not having any more, sugar, and I'm just going to completely change my diet. And once I changed my mindset and I changed the food, then everything else fell into place.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I took the time in lockdown to also go. I'd started working out. I got myself like because all the gyms were closed, so I got one of those like stationary bike things, and I just started doing that. And I lost a bit of weight as well. So there is one extreme that you can just go all the way towards this end of putting on so much weight, eating loads of biscuits, as you say. Uh, but then there's a time that you have to come back down here and be like, yeah, okay, stay off the custard creams now. Let's try to get back. I mean, you have started to. I mean, you look absolutely amazing. If I do say, like, you've
Thank you.
worked yourself into a great spot, especially signing with Manchester for this season as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's been a good summer so far. I'm definitely blessed to have the opportunity to play in the BBL again and to play for Manchester Giants. We're really ambitious, and I'm really excited to get the ball rolling and just to compete because basketball is fun, and can't wait for the season to start.
Basketball is
it's brilliant. Like I don't think a lot of people in the UK get how fun it is until they watch it live, because being in an arena is completely different from watching it at home and not really getting it. Whereas you're in the arena, you're chanting, you see backwards and forwards constantly, and I think it's definitely a better experience than certain sports like cricket, rugby, and football for sure.
Yeah, like you said, you're in the arena, and then there's the atmosphere is electric, isn't it? And also, um, with basketball, it's an indoor sport, isn't it? So it's played during the winter months, and because you're indoors, it's nice and warm, and it's got a lot of perks, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And if it's in the summer and it gets too hot, just flip the AC on. It's brilliant. So, a feature that I like to bring to this to these like podcast interviews is like I want to take it back to where it all began for my guests. So, I want to take it back to where you were born. So you were born in London, right? So,
Yes.
what was it? Did you grow up in London as well, or did you move elsewhere?
Yeah, I grew up in London, mostly in East London.
Yeah. So what was it? What was it like? Growing up.
Um, it was interesting, the area where I lived, there's a lot of crime, a lot of poverty, and a lot of opportunities as well, So um, it was a massive like melting pot, different cultures, different people from parts of the world. In my school, in high school, I had friends who were from Albania, from Ireland, from Nigeria, from all over the world. So it was just like a really cosmopolitan experience growing up in East London, and I have got a lot of good memories from that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do mention like some certain kids do grow up around as you mentioned like the crime and like the sort of the bad sides of living in like that type of neighborhood. But I think you've done a great job in not getting sucked into that type of lifestyle, and you found basketball. What were your earliest memories of like picking up a basketball and getting hooked on it for the first time?
Well, I used to watch um, old mixtapes. So back in the, I think, early 2000s, there was a UK scene going on where it was sort of like an imitation of And One, you
Yeah.
know, and the UK equivalent was streetball.co.uk, and they used to make mixtape videos and post them on their website.
Mm.
So I used to spend hours watching streetball.co.uk, and one style videos,
Yeah.
doing all the tricks and all the
Yeah.
spins and that's what really got me hooked on basketball. Just
Wow.
watching mixtapes, and then I used to go on YouTube and watch and one, and just different superstars like Kobe,
Mm.
Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
and that's when I first got hooked on basketball.
Yeah, I mean, watching all these stuff. I mean, for a lot of professionals and those that love basketball, they do go through the NBA directly first. But it's amazing that you went through like street ball and learn like all these fancy tricks and like the stuff that like kind of they use now, like guys like Ja Morant and those sorts of players. They kind of use like street and Kyrie Irving, and they use street ball to their advantage to get to the hoop more because they are undersized, but they can get to the hoop more because they've got the handwork. And it's a lot of the good professionals now come from street ball.
Yeah. There was a player called Rafer Alston, and he used to play for Orlando Magic, I think, and a few other teams as well.
Yeah.
And he actually was a member of And One Mixtape. So
Wow.
in the summer times, he'd do all the tricks, and he could do all the tricks and spin the ball and bounce it off people's heads. And then during the winter, he was a professional basketball player in the NBA. So he had best of both worlds, and I think it was really cool. I think as a kid, just watching the mixtapes, because that's sort of how that's the creativity to basketball. That's how I think I developed some of my skills and creativity.
And then did you try and go out to like the parks around like where you lived and try and like replicate these sorts of moves as well?
Yeah, yeah. I used to go to the park and I used to play all day, and I used to play one-on-one and do all the moves.
I mean,
Yeah.
did like you say you play one on one? Did you have many people around like the area or like many friends that were into basketball as well?
Yeah. So you're asking me if I had anyone who?
Anyone else that like you played with basketball wise that had the same passion for basketball that you did?
Yeah, I had. There were a few. I'd argue that no one has the same passion I do.
Oh,
Actually, yeah, yeah. But I just love basketball. When I was younger, I used to live, breathe, sleep basketball.
yeah,
And as you get older, like things become more. You have other priorities, but I still love basketball. But I did meet other people who had a similar passion for basketball,
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, so would you guys just make up times and like, yes, let's go to the park this time, this time, this time, this time, and just constantly play with each other? I guess that's how you kind of develop into your love, I guess.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like I didn't have a mobile phone until I
Yeah,
was 19. Yeah. So I wasn't very technologically inclined as in my teenage years. So there was little organization. I I used to go whenever the weather was nice. I'd go to the park, and then usually there was a scene,
yeah,
and the usual you'd have the regular basketball players who were there, and
yeah.
then so that's how we sort of met.
So you do develop your basketball game, and then you end up going and playing for the Walton Forest Spitfires. So what was that like getting into that team and going and playing there?
Um, I actually, yeah, I went to a college in Walthamstow, and that's where I met the coach for Spitfires, and his name was Rohan. So when I started going to college, I asked the coach. I said, can I play for the team? And he said, yes, of course you can. And then he also told me about Spitfires. So I started going to Spitfires practices, and I was absolutely blown away by the talent.
Mm.
And I remember there was a player called, what was his name? I can't remember his name, but he was like Michael Jordan at the time.
Wow.
And that's how I met other basketball players who were quite good. And at the time, I I was sort of I wasn't as good as I am now. So it was definitely I was inspired by the other guys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like inspiration for me to sort of see how good these other guys were, and it made me want to play basketball more.
Yeah, I mean, like the group mentality, like you see those guys, and you're like, oh, I can improve to be like those, and it's kind of sort of like they raise that game, you raise yours, and it's kind of keeping on the same same path almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely, definitely. Like they inspired me to take my game to a different level, and yeah, so that's what the experience was like.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned like well, I mean, for those that have seen you in real life, you are quite the phenomenon in terms of height. You're 6'8". Were you always one of the taller guys, playing basketball and like coming into the gyms, or like you enter the gym, they're like, oh, okay, here comes the big guy.
Um, I think so, but at the time I didn't have the awareness,
Mm.
so I just thought I was an average person. So I when I was 16, I
Mm.
think I was about 6'4",
Wow.
6'5", and I think when I was about 19, I was about 6'6",
Wow.
and but um, mentally, I think I was 5'11". I think I was 5'11".
I guess it's watching the street ball thing, like nothing's more dangerous than a big guy that can handle the ball. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I grew up watching street ball, I always, in my mind, I've always been a guard. I've always been a guard. So like, looking like for one-on-one and stuff and trying to handle the ball. And that's how I've got my guard skills, I don't want to sound arrogant, but that's how I was able to get my guard skills. And yeah, so
I mean, it's just, the amount of handles that you do have, like you just, it depends on how you adapt your game. Like, I mentioned on these interviews quite a lot. Like, it depends on who you want to model your game after, is the players that you like. So you watching a bunch of guards and the guys that do like spin the ball, put it between their legs, behind the back moves, ISO moves, pretty much. You learn, like, you would model your game after, as you say, guards. Would you work on like the dribble moves and then also shooting, or would you work more towards getting to the basket?
I think early on it was getting to the basket, because that was sort of my strength.
Yeah.
And later on, as I sort of got better at getting to the basket, then I started working on shooting the ball. Yeah.
So you played for the Spitfires, and then you also made the transition to the East London Royals. What was that? How was that transition?
It was another sort of like, it was like a mind-blowing experience, and it definitely was, because I met some guys who were 17, 18, but they looked like grown men. they looked like they were 30 years old.
Wow.
And not naming any names, guys like David Ajamobi. And do you know who Jordan Parrish is?
Yes, I believe I've seen him play a couple times.
Yeah, Jordan Parrish. He is. I think he's a bodybuilder now, and he does security. But at the time, he must have been like 17, but he looks like a grown man. So it was sort of like, I couldn't believe the level of competition, and all these guys were like brothers, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like a family in East London, and it was, again, I was inspired by these guys to take my game to another level.
Yeah, and like, you progress your game so much in that. Did they like take you under, and did you develop way more with that family aspect as well?
Yeah, definitely, because it felt like a safe environment, because, like I said, growing up in East London is a lot of crime, a lot of poverty, and young people making not the best decisions, getting involved in crime, but in that sort of environment, it was positive things happening, because we were playing the organized sport. We were shielded from, the bad parts of society. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely a safe place for us.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, you get the call up for the GB under-20 team. What did that call up mean for you?
It was like validation, validation, like, and it was surprise as well, because I didn't think I was good enough to represent GB, but it was a complete surprise, and I just thought, wow, I thought, this is incredible. I can't believe it, So it was a complete surprise, and it was a blessing.
It's like the icing on top of the cake. Like, you have worked so hard for so long, and then you get to this pinnacle, and I mean, you think that's going to be the best bit, but who would have thought that the best is still yet to come, and making your pro debut. But we'll get onto that in a little while, after we go through. You then, after you go for the GB under-20s, you actually have a stint with the London Mets as well. Was that any different to playing with the East London Royals, or was it kind of on the same kind of level?
I think London Met, that was a university team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. So that was, I'm just trying to think now, because So London Met was different to East London because East London was under 18s.
Yeah.
That was an under 18 bracket. So London Met is, I think, is British University and colleges. So that's a different level, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was more better competition, I think. And I think that's the year. After that year, I went to America.
Yeah.
So that was it was different, definitely different.
And yeah, you do mention going to America. You go and play in Central Florida. What was why did you make the decision to go out there?
To get away from my parents. I wanted to go as far as possible, but yeah, no, but it was a bit. So like when you're 18 and you just want to get away from your parents.
Yeah.
And but I also wanted to challenge myself, because I could have been comfortable, probably playing in the BBL.
Yeah.
And I actually got an offer to play for Essex Pirates, which was a team in the BBL, because I knew the coach at the time, Tim Lewis. He was the GB coach, so he wanted me to play for Essex Pirates.
Wow.
But I chose to go to America because it was a dream for me. I wanted to go to play against the Americans because they invented basketball. So, and also I just wanted the whole experience. When you watch films and it's like America and college and basketball, I just wanted the whole American experience, and that was the main factor, I think, why I decided to go.
Yeah, I mean, what was the culture like? I'm guessing it's completely different from the UK.
Yeah, it's different. Like just the way people speak. I think that's the first thing I noticed. Just the accent is so different, and the weather in Florida is really humid. Just super humid. As soon as I stepped out of the airport, then it's just like, oof.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the cult, like, I liked it. It was a good transition. It was really smooth. But I think the basketball was like a different level. I think, again, it's like a different level. It's a lot faster pace.
Yeah.
And that was
just they are on another level when it comes to being over in the States. And I mean, you mentioned that their accent's different, but then when you go over there, you're kind of like you're the guy from the UK. And did you get, because I know that the Americans love the British accent, so did you get a lot of compliments about oh my God, I love your accent?
Yeah, I did get that a lot, actually. I got it a lot. And my teammates used to take the piss out of me because they used to be like, Harry Potter. And then you're like, crumpets and tea. And then I used to like say, try and do an American accent as well.
Yeah. So they make so much fun of our accent, yet they don't know that theirs is worse.
I know, right? I know. Like it's a bit funny.
Like, we speak properly.
We speak properly.
They say soccer, not football.
Yeah.
Oh, so from you have your year in Florida, and then you go and play in the NCAA with Charleston Southern Buccaneers. What was that a definite step up from the NCAA going into the NCAA?
Yeah, I was in Florida for 2 years, 2 years actually. But yeah, after my time in Florida, I went to Charleston Southern University, which is a Division I university in South Carolina. And so the thing I noticed, the biggest difference from junior college in Florida to Division I is the level of organization. So in junior college, we had a head coach and we had an assistant coach who sort of did everything else. Like, our head coach did the coaching, and the assistant coach did all the other things like curfew, academics and all that stuff, and food and everything. But in Division I, it's like there's 5 coaches.
Wow.
So there's a head coach, there's an assistant head coach. There's another assistant head coach. There's a media director. There's a video coordinator. There's an equipment manager, and there's another assistant coach. So it's just like there's more human resources. You know what I mean? More people, and it must be because there's more resources, like financial resources, in Division One. Obviously, because it's a business basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
So organization was on a different level, and a lot more structured, and a lot more routine. So that's the main difference between junior college and Division One.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to do the academics on the side as well. So what were you studying at in Southern California?
My degree was in communication with a minor in sociology.
I did a sociology in A-level. It's great to learn about like how other people may act and like different other things to act in certain situations to go on for other life experiences as well. Because not only is sociology important for people just to learn, and it's great for understanding different cultures and different people's perspectives, especially with like your feminism and your racism as well. It's great to understand those and then take that into future life as well.
Yeah, sociology is really interesting because at the end of the day, societies, it's a study of societies, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it gives you insight into the way groups of people behave, and so it was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and I loved doing sociology, so I can imagine it was a fun time for you to do sociology and also play basketball for the Buccaneers as well.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a good challenge, sort of balancing the basketball with going to school and what's it called, academy.
Yeah.
And I didn't do too bad. I think I ended up with like 3.0 GPA. So yeah.
That's pretty good, actually. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you took sociology, yet you're playing pro basketball right now. So, I guess it doesn't mean too much.
Yeah. Well, I'm back at uni now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I go to Huddersfield Uni.
Oh, wow.
And I want to I'm studying mental health nursing.
Oh, wow.
So, because I want to, be a mental health nurse. So
Awesome.
that's what I want to. That's what I'm studying right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, with your influence of being a pro basketballer first, and then you're kind of like pursuing something for your post career. So you can host talks and like you use your influence of being a pro basketball player and use that to aid other people, which I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And like you said, I want to use my experience as a basketball player, and I want to connect it to sports. Connect the mental health to sports, because you probably know, like with sports, there's like a cliche, and people say it's 90% mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I want to actually work with athletes and help them with their mental game.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that there is a lot of pressure on guys with sports, and linking this to like another sport, football. I was listening to an interview with someone that played football for Newcastle, Nile Ranger, who was a young 16-year-old who didn't really know what to do with his life. He kept falling into crime and poverty, as certain people. You lived in East London, and it was kind of like that. However, you went on and I mean, you didn't get sucked into that life, whereas Nile Ranger did. And I think it takes, someone like that's been inside the sporting industry that knows mental health, as you are learning at the moment, to actually take these younger players in and just say like, okay, this we can help you with your career. And I think that's a great thing to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
But with moving away from the Buccaneers, you actually go and play in France for a bit. What was going and playing in France and in Calais like?
It was lonely, very lonely, because you I didn't realize, being a professional is can be lonely,
Yeah.
and you know, I didn't know what to expect because in college I was amateur, so I wasn't a professional athlete, and suddenly you go from one environment to an environment where you're a professional and you're expected to produce. There's expectations now.
Yeah.
We're paying you, so you've got to have 20 points, 10 rebounds, and you've got to conduct yourself like this. And it was a lot of pressure for me personally, being a rookie,
Yeah.
and at the time I didn't have the sort of tools I needed to deal with that pressure. So that's where I started to sort of struggle with my own mental health.
Yeah.
I got depressed. I started to get anxious, and just being away from my family. Because I was in America for 5 years, and I was away from my family. And then when I went to France, it was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back, because it was just kind of like I just missed having been around my family, and it was a very challenging time for me that year in France.
Yeah, and thankfully you do. For your mental health, you get the call from the London Lions to come back to where you grew up and play professionally, in your hometown. What was that like to get the call from the Lions and return to the UK?
Yeah, it was a good opportunity, and I was thankful for that, for the opportunity to come back and play for London Lions, in front of my family, in front of my friends, and just to sort of have that opportunity was massive. And I really, shout out to Vince McCauley for giving me that opportunity. And yeah, I was really excited.
I mean, Vince McCauley, Coach McCauley, when it comes to coaching, he is on another level. What
Yeah.
was it like playing under him?
I think Nigel was actually the coach when I
Oh,
played for London Lions, but Vince was a presence in the locker room, and a presence on the team bench.
yeah.
And he, I learned some lessons from sort of speaking to him and observing him, and definitely learned some lessons that year.
I mean, he's a great. I mean, being on the sidelines when London come to and play in Worcester at the moment, you see he's very emotive on the sidelines, very emotive on the court, and he gets the reaction out of the players. So he's definitely one of the guys that he's one of the best coaches in the BBL at the moment. I feel.
Yeah, I think so. He is very passionate, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that's what is needed in British basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we see more coaches that are coming through. The coach, the coach for the Leicester Riders. I know, Matt Newby is a great coach. He won the BBL Cup this year with Worcester, and there's a lot of great coaches coming into the BBL that love the game and they love they love the sport. So they are more emotive on the sidelines, and it is great to have that coach that is very emotional and can relate to the players that are playing with them as well.
Yeah, like you say, just having that relationship with the players is important, and isn't it? Because if you can have that therapeutic relationship with the
Yeah,
players, then they'll play. They'll sort of be able to run through a brick wall for you as a coach. If they know you care about them and you've got their backs, they'll run through a brick wall for you. So
yeah.
I think that's what the good coaches have, that sort of ability to relate to their players.
Yeah, definitely. And you move from, I mean, disregarding that year in France, what are the main differences between the NCAA and the BBL? Like, what do you think? Like, maybe organization wise, or even on the court?
Um, I think the NCAA Division One is like it's an amateur league, first of all, so it's amateur. The players aren't paid any money. obviously there's incentives to play NCAA. Like if you get a full scholarship, your tuition is paid for, your books, your housing, utilities. Sometimes they pay for you, so that's the incentive to play NCAA on a full scholarship, isn't it? But as far as being compensated with a wage, you don't get a wage if you play NCAA. But if you play professionally in the BBL, you're paid a wage. Well, I think I was paid a wage, so I can't speak for other players. Other players might be on different terms, but I was given a wage, and I think that's the main difference. And obviously there's a lot more exposure in the NCAA, isn't there?
Yeah.
In Division Ones, anyway, there's a bigger audience, isn't there? Because you've got, I don't know, 400 million people in America who watch NCAA basketball, Division One basketball. Well, maybe not 400 million people, but you've got a bigger audience there in the NCAA because March Madness is massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas in the BBL, I think we've got a population of about 60 million people in the UK, and there's a small niche of people who are interested in basketball. Yeah. And I think football has a bigger audience. Basketball has a smaller niche of fans.
Yeah.
So, so I think the audience is bigger in America.
Yeah, more exposure for sure.
Yeah, more exposure. Yeah.
I mean, like you have the young players that come through the BBL, or like the academies that are linked towards the BBL, like the universities that are partnered with those teams. You don't get as much hype as you see. This year Zion Williamson, who has had the most hype of any college kid coming out of the NCAA since LeBron.
Yeah.
There's a lot more exposure there. You get a lot more incentives like brand deals and so on and so forth, and just the experience of living in a potentially one of the biggest cities there. I mean, you were living in Florida and California. Those are two major states in America as well. Right.
Yeah, and I think the UK has a lot of potential, and like. If you look at the makeup of the UK, right, say the demographics, there's a lot of talent here in the UK, I think there's a lot of potential, and I think, eventually we're going to start to compete with some of these other countries eventually, and it's about getting the grassroots up, isn't it? Yeah.
I think there is a lot of promise for UK basketball, especially as like a content creator now. I feel like the responsibility is on not just the league and the players; it's also on the content creators, and to get more content out there for fans to see, so we can grow that fan base and sort of get to know, as we're doing here, getting to know more about your story and getting to know about your personality that you wouldn't exactly see just coming to one or two Manchester Giants games this season. So for those that are watching that are big fans of yours, they can be like, oh, this we love this guy even more now.
yeah, definitely. I think you're right. And as a content creator, there is some responsibility, and you're doing your part, by like facilitating these interviews. So well done for doing your part. And it is getting bigger now with like things like Hoops Fix.
Yes.
And there's the Low Ordain Camp and different sort of ways to get exposure out there.
Yeah.
And so well done for doing your part as well.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm very new onto the scene. Like there are a lot of very big content creators. Hoops Fix, BBL Fix. There's the Always Balling brand, which was the t-shirt that I recommend that everyone goes and buys, supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, and the Bigger Than Basketball campaign. The link to that will be in the description down below. And there are so many other content creators that are just. They're working so hard. I think it's all about the branding at the moment. Like for us, the younger fans of the BBL to try and make the next generation of British basketball good. And as you mentioned, Lowell Deng, who has played with many gigantic personalities in the NBA. Like he's a phenomenal talent. So, so from the BBL, you have a bit of a stint in the National Basketball League, which is like not it's a semi-pro league of English basketball. What were how was playing in the NBL?
Rubbish. No, it was okay. I played for Bradford Dragons. It was another experience, learned some lessons. I made some friends, my teammates, Ricky Fetsky, Clayful Harris, Jermaine, just different guys, and I think it was just a learning experience again.
Yeah.
It's just, I learned some things about myself, about the league, and I think the most important lesson I learned is just how much of the game is mental, because whether you're playing in the NBL or the BBL or in NCAA, I think the common denominator is your mentality and how you approach the game, and believing in yourself. You know what I mean? Like this T-shirt I'm wearing now says "Believe in yourself."
Yeah.
See, and this is actually my brand, and I actually sell these T-shirts. And before you can, sort of do anything, you've got to believe in yourself. And that's what I've learned, in my career, so.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the your T-shirts, but what better time to bring it up than now? So, talk us through the sort of the message behind. I mean, you've kind of spoken to us a bit about believing in yourself. So, where did the inspiration come from to get these T-shirts out there? Well,
I was inspired by an athlete in the WNBA, and she sort of does a similar thing, but it's just like, it just stuck with me, this message of believing in yourself, like, and it's something I've struggled with in the past, where I've thought, I didn't believe in myself when I was younger, and it's such an important message, because it's the first step in doing anything. You've got to believe that you can do it. And if you can believe you can do something, then you're halfway there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just think it's important for people to know that, if you believe you can do something, then you can do anything.
Absolutely.
And to be, so the other part of this message, believe in yourself, is be you. And what that means is be authentic, be yourself. It's okay to like Justin Bieber. It's okay if you like, I don't know, if you like wearing pink, whatever you like to do, just be yourself, and don't be afraid of what other people are going to say or what other people are going to think. And that's the biggest message that I just want people to know. So that's why I started making these T-shirts and selling them, to spread the message.
And it's a fantastic message to spread. And I think that the more that people realize that they can be themselves more, the more that we'll have a greater generation of people that can take the world forward. And it's a great message to spread out. And where can they go to find yourself and get one of these T-shirts?
Well, you can DM me on my Instagram at Allie Fullah.
Be on the screen right now.
Yeah, if you DM me, and I can get an order out to you.
Great. So anyone that's watching that would like to own one of these fantastic T-shirts, to spread the message of just believing in yourself, and also just being yourself as well, because that's if you can't be yourself, or if you can't even love yourself, how can you love someone else? So exactly. I think that's a great message to send out, Ali. Brilliant cause, brilliant T-shirts. Go and give Ali some support on his Instagram. Drop him a DM, and let's get the message spread.
Thank you so much.
So going back to basketball now, and you after your time in the NBL, you actually get the call to go play in Manchester. However, you only played about 9 games before we were hit with a pandemic. So how disappointing was it to play for to end the season prematurely with the Giants?
I wouldn't say disappointing. I think it was. I was thankful for the opportunity to play. The few games I did play before coronavirus, because I wanted the opportunity for a long time, and when I got the opportunity to play, I was very happy. And when the season came to an abrupt end, I felt like this is another opportunity for me to get into great shape. Just take some time out, get into great shape, and get ready for next season, which is what I've done. I think I'm in the best shape of my life now, and I'm ready for the next season now.
Yeah, and it's all about coming back to the message on your T-shirt, which is believing in yourself. And I think that's what you've done over lockdown. You believed in yourself. You've made these adjustments. You've ketoed. You've worked out, and as I keep saying, you're shredded. You're ready for next season. You're game ready. And I think the Giants are they've got a really good asset on their hands for next season. Do you think that you're game ready for that for this upcoming season?
I think so. Yes, I think I'm ready to be a force in the BBL. I think I'm ready, and I just want to let my actions speak for themselves.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's time to show the BBL that Allie Fullah is here to stay.
yes, definitely.
So there's something on your Instagram that I came across, and I think that it's a very important quote to get out there. How important is the quote, "My belief is stronger than your doubt," to you?
It's very important, and it comes back to believing in yourself. The message on my shirt, and in life we all have people who doubt our abilities, and it's about being firm in what you believe, and that's a great way to overcome, even if other people might not see your vision or other people might not share your belief. But if you're firm in your belief, then you can do anything.
Yeah. I mean, it is a fantastic message to spread, not only, being, because it doesn't really matter what people may think about you. It's just whether you have the belief in yourself to carry on, and just, you kind of forget what anyone else says that could be negative, or, just kind of push away the adversity and carry on doing what you're doing, which is exactly what you've been doing at the moment.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
So I have got, doing an interview previously with Lewis Champion, and I introduced a new segment called the Starting Five. Now, you are in a team now, so you can be. You can alter position. What would be your preferred role in the squad? Would it be like the center, or would you be like the power forward?
Not really thought about this, to be honest. Like historically, I've played center.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters, to be honest, because I think whatever role I have, it's about sort of embracing it, and believing in myself. So it doesn't matter if whatever. It's as long as I can stay true to what's on my shirt, the other stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah. So for the starting five, okay. So metaphor, so you're 6'8". We'll stick you in the power forward spot for now. So you are the starting power forward in this squad. There are 4 other positions: the point guard, the shooting guard, the small forward, and the center position. You've also got a head coach. I would like you to pick one player, either NBA, BBL, past or present, or any player in the world, to fill your starting five to play alongside you. So first, we'll start with who would you have at point guard?
Okay, point guard would be Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great player. What about Magic Johnson screams, starting point guard for you?
Showtime. Yeah. He's just he's a good floor general, He's plays at a good pace, composed, and makes the right plays, He's a facilitator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of but like your early days, like I think that you would have gravitated more towards Magic. He was a very tall point guard, and especially you looking at street ball, I think that you would, if you were playing at the point guard, I think you and Magic Johnson would play similar ways for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's very showy, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Magic Johnson at the point guard. Who would you have at the shooting guard position?
Ooh, that's a good one. Shooting guard. I think it would have to be the late great Kobe. Yeah.
May you rest in peace.
Rest
Absolutely.
in peace. Rest in peace. Yeah.
Speaking of mentioning Kobe, how much did we unfortunately lost him at the beginning of the year, the end of January. What did how did you cope with the death of such an icon?
It was strange because even though I've never met Kobe before, I've never met him personally, but it felt like someone very near to me had died.
Yeah.
And maybe like an uncle or something, or even a brother. And I was in disbelief when I first heard the news, because he's been just a central, well, not central, but he's been someone in my consciousness for decades. So it's sort of like losing like a piece of me, and just what he stood for, his Mamba mentality, and just he's inspired me, but also countless people. So it felt very personal when we lost Kobe.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people that grew up watching Kobe were kind of like, it was if we knew him, kind of like he had the personality, like he was very driven on the court, and like he it felt like, like you say, like kind of like a family member, kind of passed. It was I remember when the news broke, I was silent for the entire evening. I can remember where I was. I can remember what happened. It came just after the BBL Cup final. So my happiness that my team, the Worcester Wolves, had won was quickly met with the tragic death of Kobe. So may he rest in peace, and his legacy will live on 100%, especially in the Allie Fullah starting five. So I guess we can move on to the small forward position now.
Yeah, small forward, it would have to be. Is Kevin Durant a small forward?
Yeah. Well, he's not exactly small, is he? But he's definitely that's his position.
Yeah, I'd put Kevin Durant in the small forward position.
Yeah. Kevin Durant over LeBron then?
I feel like because I've got Magic plays very similar to LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you're making me think of LeBron now. But yeah, either Kevin Durant or LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either of those can fit in the role, I guess.
Yeah.
Definitely. And yourself is at power forward. So who would you like? Kind of like. So you've got you in the team, and then you've got an opportunity to have twin towers at the moment. The two big guys. Who are you having at center?
Shaq.
Yeah. What about Shaq screams? Playing alongside you in the starting five.
It's dominant. Like you could just give it to him anytime you need a bucket. Then just chuck it to Shaq, and he'll get you one. He's unstoppable. Like in his prime, he was the most dominant center, I think, in his prime ever. Yeah.
Oh, him playing with the Magic and coming up against the rivalry with the Magic and the Bulls at the time was, was quite insane as well. With Shaq coming up and Jordan being in his prime, it was quite the matchup. And then playing alongside each other in the All-Star game was was pretty fun as well. So. So yeah, that is your starting five. The last, person I would like you to choose for your team is a head coach. Like, who would you have as a head coach?
Wow, it's a good question. Head coach. Say Vince McCauley.
I'm sure he'd be pleased to know about that.
Yeah. No, actually, I'd say. Let's just say Phil Jackson. I like Phil Jackson.
Yeah, Phil Jackson's he can manage the egos of Shaq.
Yeah,
for sure. So that is Allie Fullah's starting five plus a head coach. I think we'll start a competition. I'll get all of the players that I've interviewed their starting fives, and we'll run a little tournament to see who would win. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So just we mentioned it before. Where again can we find the Believe in Yourself t-shirt?
Right, so you can go on my Instagram at Allie Fullah, and if you DM me, we can sort of sort it out, okay? And I take bank transfers or PayPal. So if you're interested in getting the Believe in Yourself t-shirt, send me a message on my Instagram at Allie Fullah. Okay, Thank you.
So the Instagram will be on the screen at the moment, and it will also be in the description down below for any inquiries for this Believe in Yourself t-shirt, or if you just want to go and follow Ali on his adventures through Manchester this season for the Manchester Giants. So anything else that you'd like to plug, Instagrams or Twitters or any other plans that you've got in the work?
Right. So you can also follow me on my basketball Instagram, which is at Allie Fullah Basketball.
Yeah.
That's my official athlete Instagram. And I'd just like to say thank you for having me, Reese. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for joining me, the one and only Allie Fullah.